Well, hey everyone. My name is Jack. I'm the creative director here at Seacoast, and I want to continue today in our study of the Psalms with you. Today, I want us to look at a psalm that is probably not your favorite. It's probably not one that you spent time in this morning with the Lord, but it's one that I think is really interesting, and I think you're going to like. So this is Psalm 58. And Psalm 58 is a psalm that David wrote, and it's actually about his enemies. And I want to focus today on verse 6. So this is what Psalm 58:6 says. "O God, break the teeth in their mouths. Tear out the fangs of the young lions, O Lord." Oh, isn't that good? Don't you feel warm and just happy? Psalm 58, it's what's called an imprecatory psalm. And imprecatory psalms are psalms that are about anger. They're psalms calling for judgment. And they are sort of, again, directed at enemies, things that the psalmist needs help with, but he's angry, he's upset. So I want to shift a little bit and tell you something interesting about what happened towards the end of World War II. So as the Allies entered Europe after D-Day and they began pushing into Germany, American soldiers began coming into contact more and more with German prisoners of war and German civilians, and they discovered something really interesting. They liked them. They actually really liked them. Some servicemen actually said that of all the Europeans they encountered during their time, the Germans felt closest to Americans. Isn't that interesting? It's interesting to realize that if it wasn't for this war, they might be friends. Who is our enemy? You know, Paul in Ephesians 6:12 reminded us that we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age. See, right now, we see very clearly the face of our enemy. And it's not a person, it's not a country, it's not a political party, it's not an ideology. It is the kingdom of darkness, it's disease and death. And that should be clarifying to know the face of our enemy. Because the other thing this psalmist knew was that God was bigger than any of his enemies. So you write an imprecatory psalm because you know who your God is and you know that your enemies are tiny. And I think that should be clarifying. One, to know who our enemy really is, but also to know who our God is. Right now, this set of circumstances, this pandemic, it brings with it the fear of death and the grave. But I love what British writer G.K. Chesterton said. He said that we know a God who knows the way out of the grave. Would you pray with me? Father, these times are hard and it can be scary to see the enemy in front of us, but I am grateful, Lord, to see clearly. And I am grateful because we also have the chance now to see you clearly and to understand truly the impact the resurrection has for all of us. So be with us during this time, and even when we feel fear, remind us of who you are and that you stand with us. It's in Christ's name that we pray these things. Amen.